Thank you for watching Donald Miller's Electrical Services. So, what is knob and tube? And what to do with it. So, knob and tube is a form of wiring that was basically how electric was ran up to 1930. It's the first form of electricity that all the homes had, and any house built before 1930 has knob and tube. Well, at least originally had knob and tube. If it's been remediated, or if you believe your knob and tube is no longer in your home, you should have a remediation letter. The remediation letter is stating that it has been 100% guaranteed removed. Okay, so you need the guarantee. The reason being is there's too many shortcuts in today's electricians. Okay, they hide it, they bury it. Okay, same thing, it's hidden. Okay, or they replace it in the basement and then it goes up the walls. All right, if you don't have a guarantee remediation, you most likely still have knob and tube. All right, it's not hard to find if you're looking for it. All right, so what to do? So why? Let's talk about why. The reason knob and tube is being remediated is because, one, it's coming up on 100 years old, and insurance companies are realizing how dangerous knob and tube is. And anyone that states it's not dangerous, it's only their opinion. Okay, it's dangerous. All right, the reason why I'm stating it's dangerous is because I specialize in it and I see all the faults in it. I actually, I don't care what someone says in theory on paper, how it's safe, it's not safe. My opinion is based on fact. And the fact is, knob and tube is starting to fail. It's becoming more dangerous as every year goes by. It's having more and more problems. The number one factor why knob and tube is dangerous is, one, electricians over the last 50 years have been hacking into it, moving it. In the 90s, they took it out of the panel and put it into junction boxes all around the box. Then you have your handyman coming in and putting dimmers on it, and you have all these different types of contractors that are affecting it. And now it's at the point now that it's getting older, and these splices that are in the wall. So knob and tube, what it is, it's single conductor wiring. Okay, it's a single conductor neutral, a single conductor hot, and they run up independently up into the walls. And then as it goes up into the wall, the original electrician brought another wire over to it and then would wrap it around and solder it. Okay, and that would be your solder splice. Okay, and there's multiple different types of splices that were invented back then. I actually have a couple books that were published in 1923, 1925 that were trying to teach electricians how to solder splice onto this wiring. As much as it's informative, it's also pretty scary because their soldering techniques back then weren't the best. So these splices that were in the walls, okay, they were taped up, and then that's how the electricity was distributed in the home. All right, those splices are open splices, so there's no box to contain the splice. They're just free floating in the wall, and the porcelain knob and tubes were insulators. They kept the combustible away from the wire. Okay, so that's why the tube would go through the ceiling joist and the knobs would suspend the wire off of the wood. And that's your knob and tube circuit. All right. The splices are open, meaning they're not concealed within a box. So if the splice fails, it has oxygen to feed it, okay? And through that oxygen feeding it, even though if it's off the wall, it'll dry out everything around it. And like the number one indication of splicing going bad is lights dimming and flickering, okay? So if your lights are starting to dim and flicker, you could have an issue, okay? If the lights dim dramatically, you could have a neutral issue. If it flickers dramatically, it could be a hot issue. So there's different indications of what type of problems you have. That being said, again, when you go to remediate knob and tube, it's difficult. There's no easy way to remediate knob and tube. The best practice is to make as minimal holes as possible and to make the holes small. And in order to do so, you have to prep the house correctly. If you have a guy running through your home and you think you're getting a remediated a rewire, make sure he guarantees the knob and tube remediation. Make sure he guarantees the cleanliness of his work. Some of this old plaster has some nasty stuff in it that you don't want to be breathing, not including all the lead in the wall. And this is what I mean by lead. So from the 1920s to the 1970s, however many coats of paint are on that wall, there's lead in them. And as you break through that wall to get into the cavities of behind the wall to fish these new wires, you're exposing the home to lead. If you do not protect yourself, this can become a health hazard. So watch who remediates the knob and tube. Be very careful. There's no point in remediating the knob and tube if you're just going to put yourself at risk. Another problem with knob and tube rewires is the size of the hole. If you have a home built before 1930, you probably have beautiful plaster walls, all right? The wall behind me is a beautiful plaster wall, but that's right onto the stone. So there's a different method for every home. This house was built in 1769, so the knob and tube was added later, okay? The knob and tube in this house was added around 1910. So they actually had to cut floorboards. We don't cut floorboards today. We try not to. We want to try to keep the house's integrity as much as possible. So it's better to cut plaster than the floor, as long as you know how to cut plaster correctly. If you don't cut plaster correctly, you're going to damage the wall to the point of no return. Meaning, either you're going to have to skim coat the whole wall, okay, which most people don't do anymore. They usually use like a joint compound because most people don't want to get into plaster repair. Plaster repair, if done correctly, is awesome. It's 100 times better than any type of joint compound you could ever put on an older home. I advise, if you're getting a knob and tube remediation, make sure you do plaster remediation as well. Okay, or not, I'm sorry, not plaster remediation. Make sure you do a plaster patch as well. It's not going to be expensive if you talk to the correct people. All right, if you get a low number, be very careful about the low number. All right, unless there's a guarantee and they guarantee the quality of their work, the remediation of the knob and tube, and what they should list the steps that they're going to do. If they just give you a number to remediate the knob and tube or to rewire the knob and tube, be suspectful of it, because they're not telling you all the problems that are about to arise. They're giving you a low number, so you bite at the low number, and then all the problems that come with it are you got to deal with it because it's not in their contract. All right, be very careful on how you approach a knob and tube problem. If you're selling a home that has knob and tube in it, what you want to do is find someone that's a guaranteed knob and tube remediation, so like an electrician that guarantees it. So if you're in like the Havertown, Pennsylvania area, or the main line, okay, up and down Ardmore, Villanova, Wayne, all those areas, okay, I specialize in knob and tube. So I can come in, I can guarantee the remediation knob and tube, I can guarantee a proper floor protection, I can guarantee proper plaster repair, okay? And when we do our floor protection and the plaster repair, we then wipe down the whole house, sealing the floor with, we use like a simple green, which is a non-toxic, so we want to wipe down the whole house and clean the house up. That way, after the end of the remediation, we pull the ram board up that's on the floor. Okay, we don't use rosin paper, we don't use drop cloths, that doesn't work. Okay, you want to use ram board. Ram board or a similar substance, it's rolled cardboard. So they roll out the cardboard and then they tape it together. You could spill a gallon of water on this and it should bead up for up to 24 hours without penetrating and getting into the hardwood floor. That's the type of floor protection you want. I know it sounds a lot, but it can be affordable. Just because there's a process to it doesn't mean it's going to cost a lot. You just have to do it correctly. Okay, what costs a lot, and this is what I mean by, so when you get into how much a knob and tube costs, you have to look at cost versus value. Okay, and this is important because just because it might cost little, if the value is low, then it's not worth it. And I mean by value, if you rewire knob and tube, but then after the rewire, half the house trips because the guy didn't run enough circuits, the value is poor. So no matter how, even though the cost was low, the the value is worse. What you want is a cost to value, and you want it to either equal, or you want the cost and you want the value to be higher. All right, so you got to be very careful about cost to value, because some of these low bidders out there that say that they can remediate the knob and tube, their cost is low, but their value is horrible. It's deplorable. And I wish, you know, if you get one of these contractors in your home, report them, okay? Just report them. The Better Business Bureau. If your house is a mess after a rewire, report them, okay? Go to the township. Explain what happened, all right? But as far as remediating the knob and tube, so you want proper floor protection. You want the knob and tube to be remediated, okay? And you want it patched, okay? And then you want your house cleaned, all right? That's it. That's what you got to do with knob and tube. Now, if you're selling a home and an investor is buying it, all right, or if you're selling it as a rental, all right, and there's an investor coming in, just be forewarned. He needs to get as much money off that home value as possible in order to make it a profitable investment. And if it's a second home and you just want to be free of the hassle, that low bid could be enticing. Then take it and run. Okay, it's a second home. You know he's going to come in. You know he's going to lowball you. Okay, take it and run. Now, if you don't want that to happen, you can remediate the home yourself, or you can put it into the contract of the house sale. And you can get, like, so with our company, we guarantee a knob and tube remediation. So when a buyer hires us, we go in, we look at the present day, the present day, I want to say the present day situation of the knob and tube, the present day, oh wow, I'm drawing a blank here, conditions, let's say. And then we form a cost, and then we guarantee that we can remediate the knob and tube for that cost. And then it gets factored into the real estate transaction. Upon closing, we then can go into the home. All right, and the day it closes, we go in. It usually takes about 10 days to remediate the knob and tube. And then after 10 days, the new buyer can come in and usually has to paint, because we don't include painting. All right, we don't know what colors you want. We're not painters, okay? That's a better way to factor in knob and tube. All right. If the seller wants to handle it themselves, then we advise them that the house has to be 100% empty. All right, 100%. Don't leave furniture. Don't leave anything in the home. That way we can come in, we roll out all the floor protection throughout the house, and we can immediately get started. All right, we're going to need the house for about 10 days again, okay, and we might work long hours. So when I say 10 days, I mean you can't sleep in the house at night. You can't, you can stop by all you want as long as you wear proper shoe protection. Okay, don't come into the home with flip-flops. You have to realize you're entering into a job site that could have hazardous materials on the floor. The last thing you want is getting stuck in the foot, especially by a rusted nail or a nail that has tar on it. That's even worse. So they're the real two options. Okay, knob and tube is becoming dangerous. Insurance companies already know about it. So it's time that we face it and remediate it correctly so the home still has a little bit of integrity left. Okay, if you go in and try to remediate the knob and tube cheaply, you're going to destroy the integrity of the home. You're either going to destroy the plaster walls, and they're going to have to put drywall on top, which is an utter shame. All right, or another problem that we see is they don't remediate it correctly, and they just bring 1 or 2 circuits up, and they try to redo the whole house on 1 or 2 circuits, which is another nightmare. Thank you for watching. I'm going to always make videos about knob and tube because it's what I do. I really enjoy doing it. I've been specializing in it for 10 years now. And the older homes are gorgeous. It's just a different type of construction. An older house construction, it's incredible the techniques and the style they did back then versus modern day carpentry and modern day construction practices. That's just my personal opinion. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.